Hi, I'm Steve Myers, candidate for mayor of Baton Rouge. Today's Myers message we call Streets of Gold. Now again, remember that we have a broad-based campaign and we're throwing out a lot of ideas just to give you an idea of the type of personality that we would have in our administration, and that everything would be on the table, and that we would look at all possibilities to increase revenue and improve the government of Baton Rouge. You know, it's fairly well established that it's hard to get a new tax passed. The division of the parish into corporate limits in the rural areas in the parish, in which many of the large corporate businesses and shopping centers are held, get a tax break essentially. They don't pay the same amount of taxes as those of us that are inside the city limits. That's one problem. Whether annexation of these areas and taking the parish lines to the end of the parish and incorporating all of East Baton Rouge Parish into one city is the subject of another message. Another problem with taxes, of course, is things like this ill-conceived CATS tax, which has already gone sour when CATS announced it cannot deliver on promised services. That's another black mark that makes the public more skeptical. And plus, the government has seemed to turn to more fee-for-service type approaches by taxing individuals indirectly by implementing service fees, convenience fees, credit card surcharges, user fees, turning things into civil fines and penalties for probably ordinary conduct in many cases that shouldn't even be against the law, and a myriad of other ways to find charges in order to help finance local government. So, earlier we proposed that sports betting be looked at for Louisiana so Baton Rouge could get its piece of the pie. But taxes and fees are, in that case, just like the lottery and gambling, are essentially voluntary purchases. Another area that should be investigated, I think, by the city is naming rights. Now, this will come as off the wall, but it ought to be considered. Corporate sponsorships and naming rights are well established, but the opportunity has gone untapped in one interesting potential area: city streets. I'm going to propose that we study an implementation of a program that allows individuals or corporations to buy the naming rights to streets. Not only would this bring money into the city parish, but it would promote Baton Rouge business around the world. So instead of a street like Florida Boulevard, we may have Capital One Way. Or rather than Bluebonnet Boulevard, it may be Jimmy Swaggart Drive. Nicholson Drive could become Albemarle Avenue. East Boyd may be Almaza Avenue. Some individuals may even choose to buy streets. For example, on Cherrydale Avenue, I would buy the naming rights to rename Cherrydale Avenue Myers Drive. Now, these sponsors would have their names on maps and businesses promoted essentially worldwide on the web and with GPS. Ultimately, they would end up on letterhead and business cards. It would be a great advertising opportunity if we could work it out. Why should the street names be left to the legacies of politicians or named after birds or plants or something along that line when the source is there for the city to raise a lot of money? With an estimated 1,500 streets, even at $1,000 a year on a 10-year contract, I estimate $20 to $50 million on the bid prices, depending on how busy the street is, how long it is, how many businesses are on that street. You know, like most things in progress, when progress is made, there are problems. Probably have some laws to change, and there'll be some businesses affected because letterhead and invoices have to be phased in. But this can be done over time. Prices, of course, would be bid based on traffic counts and the assessed value of property along the street to determine which streets are more valuable or not. Obviously, the details need to be worked out. But just as other sources of revenue must be considered, this is one that maybe deserves some creative people to take a look at. It may save you another tax. We can make it happen if we make it Myers.